Hello everybody and welcome back. I am the Sovereign and this is my court. We're gonna pretend once again that I am wearing the crown of shade just because I don't feel like taking this one off. I like this one, I want to wear it, but this is definitely a crown of shade moment, just to let you guys know. Before I left for Washington, D.C. to go protest at the foot of the president's house, I saw a video made by this YouTuber. I'm gonna put up the picture. I'm not going to say the name because I don't necessarily want to directly call her out at this moment, but I do believe she's made a very serious misstep and we are going to talk about it. This woman's job on YouTube is mainly centered around the betterment of dark-skinned Black women in the world, in the community. She focuses a lot on dark-skinned Black women issues, and a lot of those topics revolve around colorism and colorism when it comes to the way Black men treat dark-skinned women within our community, because yes, the Black community itself does have its own internal issues with it, which I understand. That's why I was subscribed to her, because what she says is true and it needs to be said, absolutely. But I watched a video of hers that popped up and I'm just like, it said something along the lines of why Black women shouldn't be protesting, and I'm just like, oh, well, that's a different take on things. Let me see what she's talking about. And I go into this video and she's basically talking about the fact that George Floyd's girlfriend was a white woman, and that was bugging her. And I took pity because I know that this is a triggering subject for her. This is something that she does a lot of videos on, and it's a serious issue when it comes to how Black men treat Black women within the Black community. I totally get that, and she is really good at making that type of content. So I'm just like, I get it, but it's a little out of place because she was kind of saying because George Floyd was dating a white woman and wasn't supporting Black women like that, we shouldn't be protesting on his behalf. Now, I didn't necessarily agree, but I understood where she was coming from when it came to George Floyd himself. But in my mind, I'm just like, okay, but this isn't just about George Floyd. But this was really early. This was maybe 2 or 3 days after his death. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt and was just like, she's just triggered. I'm gonna let it pass. Fine. But maybe 2 days or a day before I left for DC, I saw her community post. And once again, it said something about why Black women shouldn't be protesting, and it said hashtag Black women stay home. Now, at this point, the George Floyd issue had morphed into a Black Lives Matter issue, and it had already spread throughout the country, and there was like uproar and riots everywhere. So this was way beyond just a George Floyd issue, right? So I go into her community post and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, I got it before because you thought it was just about George Floyd, but anybody with 2 eyes at this point can see that it's a Black Lives Matter issue. This is a Black issue. This isn't just about George Floyd. But within her community post, she's once again saying that I don't want to uplift any man who's not uplifting me, who's not going to stand by and support Black women. And I'm just like, okay.
Black women, you really need to pay attention and recognize this unity trick bag, because one minute it's about, this bigger issue of police brutality and, we're all in this together. And in the next, Black men are telling us that they don't owe us nothing. After this is over, they're going to go right back to saying how they're not obligated to Black women. They don't know. I'm only obligated to my mother or the Black women in my life. They're going to go back to saying that. They're going to go back to saying how they don't have to choose a dark-skinned woman or a Black woman. They're going to go back to calling you names and saying how they can like what they like and it's their preference. You're only valuable to them in times like this, so don't be fooled. Another thing is someone sent me a court document where George Floyd was locked up. I think it was in 2007 or 2008. And he was in jail for 5 years for robbing a woman at gunpoint in her home. And based on the names in the document, I do think she was Hispanic. So I'm not sure if she was Black. And I'm not saying he didn't turn his life around and he didn't change. That was a long time ago. But if he did do this to a Black woman, that was somebody's Black daughter. Why we really need to be careful when it comes to seeing your Black male family members and every random Black man. So was this man about Black unity and Black family when he did that? And he also had a lot of other criminal history. And listen, I'm not trying to sound like a white supremacist, and bring up his criminal history. What happened to him was wrong, and that doesn't mean he deserved to die like he did. But when it comes to seeing your sons in men like this, because we do this often. we see our sons and we start talking about our sons and our husbands and our boyfriends and all this stuff when we're talking about actual criminals. So it's like, is that a good representative of your son or your brother or your husband? And someone also sent me a Pornhub link to a porn video that George was in. So apparently he was a porn star too. And listen, not a crime. It's not a crime to be a porn star. And again, it's not saying that he deserved to die the way he did because of that. But is this really somebody, Black women, that you want to affiliate yourself with? Because Black women, I am seeing us lose more than we gain by doing this, by protesting, by involving ourselves so heavily in these kind of situations. Now, my last video was very short, but it was also very clear. George Floyd's fiance, she came out, she said, don't fight hate with hate. So, I said, well, if his own fiance isn't protesting, Black women shouldn't protest either. And I stand by that. And y'all were telling me, he had some black side chick. Somebody else said, it was his ex. And then there was supposedly a third girlfriend. And see, if this man was involved in porn, it's possible that he had, multiple women. He was stringing along multiple women. And somebody also told me, he had a black daughter. But either way, this white woman was on the news. And it was said that she was his fiance. She was the one who got the ring, according to the reports. And there were Black women in the comment section saying that it doesn't matter that his fiance is white. It's the bigger picture of police brutality. And as long as he didn't say anything bad about Black women, you're going to still support him. And ladies, that's fair. You can do what you want to do. You have the right to still support him. But if other Black women don't want to protest because his fiance is white, we have that right. So if a Black woman says, I'm not about to protest for this individual Black man because he didn't marry a Black woman, and I'm going to reserve my support for a man who did, that's completely reasonable.
It's very difficult for me to make the decision to speak out against another Black woman, but when you're taking the position that you're fighting against our community, you're doing damage to our community, I don't give a crap. You're a Black woman and you should know better. So yeah, I'm gonna be a little angry, and like I said, this is a crown of shade moment. I'm just too lazy to take this crown off my head because I finally got it placed properly, so I'm not doing all that work. But absolutely, we're gonna do a little bit of dragging here because sis, you're over here telling Black women to stay home. You're basically taking the sides of racists. Do you not understand that what you're telling us to do is exactly what Trump is trying to tell me to do? And I take this a little bit personally because I'm basically the Black woman she's talking about, okay? When it comes to anybody and everybody on YouTube, I'm the YouTuber that did the most. I'm the person that flew from California to Washington, D.C. to sit at the steps of the president's home and protest. So when she's talking about Black women stay home, she's talking to me. So I do believe that I have the onus here to be a little bit upset because I'm just like, you're on the wrong side, sis. You're on the wrong side. Do you not realize that in this conversation, the racists are on your side? Do you not realize that in this conversation, Trump's like, yeah, sis, tell him to stay home. Trump's on your side. You're on the wrong side. And I get where she's coming from, but you're speaking from a position of bitterness. And I don't even like using that word because you're a Black woman. And I don't like using, because people like to say the bitter, angry Black woman bullshit. Like, no. But in this context, it's justified. You are so focused on who he was dating. That's what drives you away. And understanding, I get where you're coming from. And you have the right to have your opinions about it. Had she kept her opinions to herself and it was just like on her Facebook or some crap, I wouldn't have said nothing. I wouldn't have said nothing. But she publicly took a stance against me. You publicly chose to stand against me. On the other side, as I'm protesting, you're over here trying to pull people from my side out of the protest, telling them to stay home. And I'm just like, wake up. I'm not going to have any mercy on you. You are a Black woman. Wake up. This is beyond George Floyd. This is way beyond him. I get your issues with Black men. I get it. And they deserve to be dragged. They do. For their mistreatment of Black women, they do. They do not stand up for us the way that they are supposed to. But this is beyond this. You need to get your priorities straight. You're over here trying to police the community. I'm trying to protect the whole community. That's what's most important. You have to understand that we have to protect the community before we can fix the community. If aliens invaded right now, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell the Israelis and the Palestinians to shut up with their arguing, because the first thing we need to do is protect the planet, and then we can get back to the infighting. It is not to the benefit of black women to allow the entire community to burn. You cannot protect just black women and leave black men out to dry. You can't allow the entire community to burn without affecting black women. You have to take care of the community first. The community comes first, and then you handle internal issues. I don't understand how I have to explain how priorities work. You cannot abandon the entire community simply because you don't like the fact that George Floyd or even Chris Brown or people like that are a part of the community. Yes, they're a part of the community. You have to protect the community as a whole and then deal with the issues within the community. You cannot abandon everybody because this movement is not just about George Floyd. I was in DC chanting Black Lives Matter. I was in DC chanting Breonna Taylor. It's not just about one person, but you want to take a stance against your own people because you're mad that George Floyd was dating a white woman? Have you lost your mind? Have you lost it? Have you completely blanked out? Your brain has fallen through your nose onto the floor. I don't understand what, and I'm not gonna be nice about it because you're black. You're black. Why do I have to explain to you that this community, this movement is for everybody? Do you not see the changes that are being made? Do you not see the legislation that is being passed? Do you not see that the police departments are losing their funding? It is working. This was never just about George Floyd.
Books on systemic racism are making bestseller lists as protests continue across the country. 6 of the top 10 best-selling books on Amazon are on the topic of race in America.
White Fragility, The New Jim Crow, and Just Mercy are some of the books at the top of Amazon and Barnes & Noble's best-selling list today.
Essoan is sold out of the book How to Be an Anti-Racist and has hundreds on back order. James thinks they've received a total of 3,000 online orders this week alone and eventually had to stop accepting them.
I didn't fly across the country for George Floyd. I flew across the country because, to be quite honest, to be totally honest, I wasn't going to go to DC until Donald Trump declared war on the American people. After he trashed the Constitution and said, I'm going to call in the military on American citizens, that's when I was just like, I'm there. I'm flying. That's why I went. I went because he trashed the Constitution in an effort to trash black people. I wasn't over there because I personally knew George Floyd. I wasn't there to, I mean, if this was just about George Floyd, I wouldn't have gone to DC. I would have flew to his memorial. I would have flew to his burial. I just don't understand because this woman is smart. She's not stupid. She's not. So the only explanation that I can have here is that she takes such an issue with the colorism issue and especially with the disrespect of black men that it has blinded her to the true problems and the true meaning behind the Black Lives Matter. And this has happened before. This is the same thing that happened with Charlie Gold, where she became so blinded by her visual hate for Amberlynn Reed that she lost herself. This is the same thing that's happening to this black woman, and it saddens me. It saddens me that this hurt her to the point where she's blinded to the needs of her entire community because of this one issue. And like I said before, I totally support her when it comes to the colorism issue and dragging black men for the disrespect of black women, because she is totally correct on that. She is totally right. But that's not the point right now. It's not. This is a Black Lives Matter movement.
You now have people in every country standing together to say, this is not acceptable anymore. Black Lives Matter.
Paris, they marched, as they did in Rome and Tokyo. In Hungary, a silent crowd took a knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. COVID-19 kept Thai protesters off the streets, but on screen in a massive Zoom session. In London, joining this protest mattered far more than the lockdown rules. Thousands, many masked against coronavirus, gathered outside the American embassy.
Your message is heard over here, and we'll keep fighting the same fight that you are.
Everyone is not realizing that we're all in the same fight. Like, these protests may have been sparked by one killing in one American city, but the truth is that if you are a black person or a minority or a poor person in many places around the world, in London, Berlin, Seoul, Cape Town, you understand what it means to be a target of the police and a target of a system that is designed to keep you down with violence if necessary.
This is a change for the black community, and it is finally happening, and you're over here on the wrong side. The side of the race is fighting me after I flew across country to go to war. You are entitled to your opinions, but the moment you take a public stance against your own community's movement, you've made it our issue. And I'm not gonna have a black person over here looking a mess, trying to mess with the black community's movement when we're finally getting what we need, when we're finally getting what we deserve, when we're finally getting our recognition. And there's other black people that are, you know, issues. I don't know, some black lady over here being racist, Terry Crews is over there being a coon, but they already got dragged. And I'm not gonna let this one get away with it at all. I respect you, sister. I respect you. A lot of your videos are on point. You get with the black men when they get on their nonsense. You do. But outwardly telling black women to stay home during these times, during a Black Lives Matter movement across the world, you have lost your ever-loving mind. And I'm sorry that I gotta hand out butt whoopings like I'm somebody's mama. I'm sorry for that. At least I'm not dragging her by name, because I am hoping that she realizes that she made a misstep, and I'm willing to forgive that. Right now, I'm not subscribed to her. I unsubscribed. Because I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad that I was on the front steps of the White House and I have another sister over here trying to put me down or pull people out of a very large movement that has a lot of traction. That, like, how do you not see that this is a real movement that involves more than George Floyd? I'm disappointed, okay? And typically it takes a lot for me to get truly fired up, but when I see a black woman totally fall off a cliff like this, it hurts me, because I have to take the responsibility of checking another black person. I should never have to do that. I should never have to be on here and I don't ever want to do it again. I am willing to forgive. I'm upset. And when I'm upset, it takes me a minute to calm back down. I'm upset. So after I get over this, I probably will go back to her channel, because she makes good points about colorism and black men need to be dragged. And most likely I'll make a video about that too. I will. But don't ever take stances against the black community again. Don't ever. Don't ever, 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 ever do it again. It was a misstep. I forgive you. I'm gonna get over this and resubscribe. I am. But don't you ever do this again. And we'll get to the black men. We will get to them. And yes, it sucks. Okay, I get it. I get it. You're mad that you have to stand up for them, and you're mad that black women are always the ones that have to be tough. Yeah, me too. Me too. It sucks. It sucks that I always see black women going to bat and I don't see black men going to bat. It sucks. It does. But I'm gonna protect my community, which does involve black men, even the problematic ones. I protect the community, and then I'll deal with them second, because my priorities are straight. You can't deal with just the black men but not protect the community, because then what's the point? What's the point? The community involves you. It involves me. It involves my mom, my brother, my grandpa. It involves everybody. You cannot sacrifice everybody because you have a problem with a subsection. You can't do that. So I'm gonna stop rant. I just needed to let this out, because I commented. Don't think I'm over here just being mean. I commented in her comment section of her community post. As soon as I get back from Washington, D.C., I'm making a video. Here's the video, because I don't lie. And I don't like sneak around in the shadows. I don't sneak around a bush and like jump people from behind. I told her I'm making a video. Later on, she did post this in her community tab, which I'm pretty sure was directed at me, because I'm the person that posted and said that I was unsubscribing because she has lost her damn mind, and that's fine. But I'm sure that this post was meant and directed at me. And I really hope that now that some time has passed, and now that she's seeing that this is an actual movement for the black community, she's like, oh, maybe I need to rectify the situation. Maybe I should be more involved, because it's bettering the whole community, not just black men, but black women and children and mothers and daughters. This is for all of us, okay? And once we fix this, I will join you on the front lines of whooping black men for their actions. Absolutely, sis. I'll drop some videos for all for it. Black community first, though. You never take sides against the family, ever, okay? Said my piece. Thank you for coming to my video. I'm trying to get my sanity back, because y'all know I was triggered, okay? This is my community. This is my family. This is my life, all right? And you guys know that I'm the black woman that did the most flying coast to coast, protesting from West Coast to East Coast. I sure did. So this is important. And I couldn't believe a black woman was standing against me over here saying, stay home black women. You've done lost your mind. Thank you for coming to see this video. Give the video a thumbs up. If you are not a member of my court, hit the subscribe button. I would love to see you again. I love you. I'll miss you. And you know I will be back in a future video. Bye.
And whenever there are big protests, there's always going to be people who stand on the sidelines, right? There's always going to be people who sit in their newspaper offices or TV news studios and say, I sympathize with you, but this is not the way to get what you want. This is not the way that you should be doing it. Protesting is a waste of time. It turns people off. It's just performative. It doesn't accomplish anything. Well, you know what? I hope those people are hungry because they're going to be eating their words.